You know, for years, my twin sister Chloe and I had this thing we called the escape code. 3 simple words: ready to bail? One of us would say it, and within 60 seconds, we were both out the door. No questions, no hesitation. We've used it at family dinners, holidays, birthdays, anywhere the favoritism got so thick you could barely breathe. It was our secret weapon, our silent pact against a world that always seemed to orbit around our older brother. My name's Ethan. I'm 28, and Chloe, my twin, is also 28. Same birthday, same childhood, same role, really. We were basically backup models for the real son. Our older brother, Brandon, he's 31. The golden child. The special one. The reason our parents are now drowning in debt they'll probably never escape. I work as a claims adjuster for a mid-size insurance company. Chloe's a vet. And Brandon? He's professionally unemployed, with a resume full of elaborate stories about why every job just wasn't the right fit. The pattern started early. When Chloe and I turned 9, we each got a used board game from a garage sale. That same year, Brandon turned 12 and unwrapped a brand new motorized dirt bike. I remember asking Mom why. She just said, "He's the oldest, Ethan. He needs bigger experiences." Chloe, sharp as always, cut in. "That doesn't track. What experience comes with a motor we're not allowed to touch?" And then Nana Rose, our paternal grandmother, snapped. "Don't question your mother. Your brother has potential you two don't understand." Potential. That word followed Brandon everywhere. It was his invisible shield. A year later, I saved lawn mowing money for months to buy a model rocket kit. I spent 2 weeks meticulously building it. Brandon, though, he thought it would be hilarious to light it off inside the garage. It exploded against the ceiling, scorched the drywall, destroyed itself. I ran to Mom, crying. She sighed, like I was the one inconveniencing her. "You should have put it somewhere safe, Ethan." Brandon was just curious. Chloe, already standing up from her homework, looked Mom dead in the eye. "He destroyed Ethan's project on purpose. Make him replace it." Nana Rose's face hardened. "How dare you accuse your brother of malice? He's creative. Creative people make mistakes." Brandon just walked away. No punishment. No replacement. No apology. Chloe and I got a lecture about being more understanding. That night, Chloe knocked on my bedroom door. She sat beside me on the floor for a long time without speaking. Then, she just said, quietly, "We have each other." We were 10. Things only got worse when Brandon was a senior and Chloe and I were freshmen. He'd bring home report cards littered with C's and D's. Mom would celebrate like he'd won a scholarship, take us all to dinner, tell him how proud she was. 2 weeks later, Chloe and I would bring home straight A's. Mom would glance at them. "That's expected from you too. You've always been the easy ones." The easy ones. The kids who didn't require attention, or money, or even praise. Brandon got priority for the family car. Took it whole weekends. Returned it with dents and an empty tank. Once, he came home with the bumper hanging off. Dad just asked what happened. "Parking lot thing," Brandon shrugged. "Not my fault." Dad sighed and paid for the repairs. Then one night, Brandon came home past curfew, clearly buzzed, keys slipping in his hand. Dad smelled it immediately. "You've been drinking and driving?" Brandon just mumbled, "Just a couple beers." "I'm fine." Dad took the keys, but didn't ground him. Didn't report it. He just said, "Be more careful next time." The next morning, Mom asked, "Want waffles, sweetheart?" Like nothing had happened. 2 weeks later, Chloe asked to borrow the car for a school event. Mom said, "Maybe next time. Your brother needs it more." That night, Chloe whispered, "He drives drunk and gets waffles." I ask politely and get denied. "They're terrified of telling him no," I said. "Or they just don't care what happens as long as Brandon's happy." Brandon's senior year was when everything truly collapsed. He was supposed to be the first in our family to attend a major university. State school, business program. Promise, potential. Nana Rose's favorite words. They threw him a huge going-away party, relatives from 2 states over, speeches about legacy. Meanwhile, Chloe and I, still freshmen, knew the truth. Money was tight. Dad's overtime had dried up. Mom was working doubles. But they acted like they had a limitless college fund. 3 months into Brandon's freshman year, he came home for Thanksgiving with a revolutionary business idea. He showed us a napkin covered in arrows and boxes. Told us he and his roommate were launching an app that would change online food delivery forever. Dad asked, "How much do you need?" Brandon said, $75,000. I almost choked on my mashed potatoes. Chloe's fork froze midair. Mom and Dad looked at each other, nodded, and Mom said, "We'll make it work. This is your future, honey." They took out a second mortgage. $75,000. The bank rep came to the kitchen table that Saturday. Mom's signature trembled. Dad didn't look up. I asked, "Are you sure about this?" Nana Rose cut me down with a glare. "Your brother has vision. Stop being negative." Chloe tried again. "You're betting the house on a napkin sketch. What if this doesn't work out?" Nana snapped, "You two have always been jealous. Brandon is special. You're just worker bees." 2 years later, Brandon dropped out. The app never launched. The roommate bailed. Brandon blew through the investment money on clothes and nightclub tabs. He came home with half a degree and a closet full of designer trash. The mortgage payment jumped to $1,800 a month. The house started deteriorating. Mom worked doubles. Dad let his truck fall apart. They were drowning. Brandon just moved back into his childhood room like none of it mattered. Slept until noon. Cycled through career ideas, real estate, crypto, sports betting, consulting. Each lasted about a week. One night, Dad pulled Chloe and me aside. His hands shook as he slid over a stack of past due notices. "We're 4 months behind. The bank sent a foreclosure warning. We have 60 days. How much do you need?" I asked. $1,200 a month, just until we stabilize." We both knew Brandon wouldn't help. Chloe and I stepped outside. She whispered, "If we don't do this, they lose the house." So, we did it. $600 each, month after month. 3 years later, we'd paid $43,200. Brandon? Maybe $5,000 total. We never got added to the deed. Never got a thank you. Some months, not even acknowledgement. I started keeping a ledger about a year into the payments. A simple spreadsheet, date, amount, confirmation number from the bank transfer. Chloe did the same. We'd compare notes every few months. We also tracked Brandon's contributions, or rather, his lack thereof. Month 7, Brandon bought a $1,500 gaming computer. Chloe saw it being delivered. She texted me immediately with a photo. The same month, he told Dad he could only contribute $50 because money was tight. I saved that screenshot. Month 14, Brandon took a weekend trip to Vegas with his buddies. Posted photos on social media of him and his friends holding expensive drinks at clubs. That month, his contribution was $0. When Dad asked him about it, Brandon said he'd had the trip planned for months and couldn't back out. Chloe took screenshots of those posts, too. Month 20, Brandon started dating Sarah. She worked as a receptionist at a dental office. Too good for him, but somehow convinced he had potential. Brandon started spending like he had a trust fund. New clothes, restaurants, concert tickets. I asked him once where the money was coming from when he was barely working 20 hours a week at a sporting goods store. He said, "Mom helps me out when I need it." I stared at him. "Mom's giving you spending money while Chloe and I are covering $1,200 a month on the mortgage?" He shrugged. "She wants me to be happy. That's what family does." Sarah was there when he said it. She looked uncomfortable but didn't say anything. Just excused herself to the bathroom. I showed Chloe the ledger that night. Her folder had photos of Brandon's new sneakers, screenshots of his restaurant check-ins, evidence of a lifestyle funded by our parents while they begged us for mortgage money. Around month 30, I met Maya. She worked as a graphic designer for a local marketing agency. Smart, direct, didn't tolerate nonsense. We met through mutual friends at a cookout. When I told her about the family situation, she didn't judge. She just asked, "Are you okay with it?" I said, "Honestly, no, but I don't know how to stop without watching them lose everything." She said, "Maybe the person who should stop them from losing everything is the one who caused it." I sat with that for a minute. Then I asked her what she'd do. She said, "I'd walk away, but I'm not you. You have to figure out what you can live with." What stuck with me wasn't her answer. It was the fact that she didn't tell me what to do. She just made me think about whether I was doing this because it was right or because I was scared of what would happen if I stopped. A week later, she asked me if I'd thought about it more. I said, "Yeah, but I still don't have an answer." She said, "You're allowed to be stuck. Just don't let being stuck become permanent." By month 36, Maya and I were engaged. I proposed at a park near her apartment. Nothing fancy, just us and a sunset. She said yes before I finished the question. When I told my parents, Mom smiled and said, "Congratulations, honey." Dad shook my hand. Nana Rose said, "That's wonderful, dear." Then she immediately turned to Brandon and said, "When are you going to make an honest woman out of Sarah?" Brandon laughed nervously. "Working on it, Grandma. Just need the right moment." Chloe pulled me aside in the kitchen. "Did you catch how fast they made your engagement about him?" I caught it. But there was one person who'd been watching all of this for years and finally decided to say something. Poppy Charles. My dad's father. Quiet guy, retired electrician, widowed about 10 years back. He'd remarried a few years ago and mostly stayed out of family drama. But he noticed things. He'd mentioned to me once during a holiday that the favoritism was getting ridiculous. I said, "You're not wrong." He said, "Your dad needs to grow a spine, and your grandmother needs to stop treating that boy like he's made of gold." Poppy Charles didn't come to every family gathering, but when he did, he paid attention. About 2 months before the wedding, Chloe and I were doing our usual twin check-in over coffee. We meet every Sunday morning at the same diner, same booth, same routine. It's where we decompress. She said, "I've got a bad feeling about the wedding. They're going to try something." I said, "They wouldn't. It's my wedding. Even they have limits." She gave me a look. "Ethan, come on. When have they ever had limits with Brandon?" She was right. We agreed to set up defenses. Chloe would be point person for security and vendor coordination. Maya would handle the rule sheet. We'd make it airtight. But first, we had to survive the family meeting. 6 weeks before the wedding, Mom texted both Chloe and me. "Family meeting tonight, 7 p.m. It's important. Be there." Chloe and I grabbed lunch beforehand. She stirred her iced tea. "This is it. This is the ask. What do you think they want?" I asked. Money for something Brandon-related? Car repair, rent, maybe a loan? We were wrong. It was worse. When we walked in, the living room looked staged. TV muted, lights low. Dad sat stiffly in his recliner. Nana Rose perched on the couch, looking smug. Brendan sprawled on the love seat like royalty. And Poppy Charles sat in the corner, arms folded, looking genuinely puzzled. He almost never attended these ambush meetings. Mom stood with her arms crossed, eyes sharp. "Sit down," she said, voice sugar-coated and dangerous. Chloe and I sat. We exchanged a look that said, "Brace yourself." Mom started with, "You know how much we want this wedding to be special for Ethan and Maya." I said, "Just clarifying." Brandon smirked. Nana leaned forward like a vulture about to land. Mom continued, "Since it's such a beautiful event, we thought maybe it could be about more than one couple. A chance for your brother to share in the joy." Nana Rose jumped in. "Family should celebrate together. That's what makes events meaningful." Then Brandon said it. "I want to propose to Sarah at your wedding. During the reception speeches, right after the best man speech. It'll be perfect. Everyone will already be celebrating love." I didn't laugh. I didn't blink. "No," I said. Mom's smile cracked. "Don't be like that, Ethan. It's one moment. Brandon just wants to celebrate, too." Chloe cut in. "So Ethan pays for everything, plans everything, and then hands over the mic so Brandon can propose at someone else's wedding?" "It's not handing anything over," Nana snapped. "It's sharing. Family shares." "Sharing," Chloe said flatly, "would be Brandon paying his fair share of the mortgage. This is hijacking." Brandon bristled. "I don't have the money for a big proposal. This way, it's special without me going broke." That's when Poppy Charles finally spoke, his voice calm, but edged like a blade. "Can I say something? I've been sitting here for 20 minutes, and this is the craziest thing I've ever heard." Everyone paused. "You're asking the groom to hand over his wedding day," he said. "You're calling him selfish while he's been paying your mortgage for 3 years. This favoritism has gone on since these kids were born." Nana Rose flushed. "Charles, you don't understand. Brandon is special." He finished. Yes. Heard it for decades. Doesn't make it true. And it doesn't make this reasonable." Mom tried to recover. "Dad, this isn't about favoritism. It's about supporting each other." Poppy Charles turned to my father. "You going to say anything or just sit there while your wife tries to steal your son's wedding?" Dad swallowed hard. "I think we should all calm down." Chloe stood. "Here's what's happening. You already told Brandon this was basically approved. You set this up as pressure theater and now you're mad it's not working." Mom didn't deny it. I stood up, too. The answer is no. Brandon doesn't get to propose at my wedding. Not during speeches. Not during anything. Nowhere. Brandon stood. "So you're cutting me out over 1 minute?" "You don't need my wedding to look like a fool," I said. "You've been doing that fine on your own." Nana Rose gasped. "How dare you speak to your brother like that?" Chloe folded her arms. "If you'd held him accountable once in his life, he wouldn't need to hijack other people's events." Brandon threw his hands up. "You're both just jealous." Chloe laughed. "Of what?" "A 31-year-old man living at home with no career, no savings, and a girlfriend he can't afford to propose to?" I added, "And since we're talking about family support, the $1,200 a month stops now. Today. Figure it out yourselves." Silence. Mom went pale. You can't do that. We need that money. You need it, I said. Because you spent $75,000 on a napkin sketch in a dream. You made your choice. This is mine. Nana Rose's voice chilled. You'll regret this. Family comes first. Yeah, I said. My family. Maya and me. The rest of you can live with your decisions. Chloe stood, grabbed her purse, and said, ready to bail. We walked out. Poppy Charles followed us into the driveway. I'm sorry you two have dealt with this your whole lives. Thanks for speaking up, I said. I should have done it years ago, he said. Don't back down. They're going to try everything before the wedding. Don't cave. We won't, Chloe said. And we didn't. The next 2 weeks were psychological warfare. Mom called and texted nonstop. Guilt about the mortgage. Dramatic stories about stress. Vague warnings that we were destroying the family. By day 3, Chloe and I blocked her. Nana Rose switched tactics. She sent long, dramatic messages to extended family, painting us as heartless. A few cousins reached out, confused. Chloe sent one of them a single line, ask Mom and Nana how much Brandon's paid toward the mortgage in 3 years. Then ask how much Ethan and I have. Silence followed. Cousins, aunts, uncles. The truth did what it always does. Brandon tried a different angle. He called Maya. He asked her to talk sense into me. She just said, if you call me again, I'll block you, too, and hung up. Later, she told me what happened, her hands still shaking. I asked if she was okay. Yeah, she said. But that was really uncomfortable. He made it sound like you were being unreasonable and I was supposed to fix it. You don't have to deal with my family's nonsense, I said. I know, she replied. But I'm choosing to. That's different. Then Brandon tried Chloe. She put him on speaker. Brandon, she said, if you show up at that wedding and try anything, security will remove you. You can't do that? I'm family. Family pays their share. You don't. So, right now, you're just a freeloader with an opinion. He hung up. But Mom made the real move. 10 days before the wedding, she called the venue pretending to be me and tried to add Brandon to the approved speakers list. The coordinator asked for the password. Mom didn't have it. She got shut down immediately and the coordinator called Maya to confirm. Maya added a note, no changes without password verification. Bride or groom only. When we heard, Chloe just said, I knew they'd try something. After that, we tightened everything. Chloe gave security photos of Brandon and Nana Rose with clear instructions, watch them. Don't swarm the mic, stay ready. The layout was too open for constant guarding, and we didn't want a scene unless they forced one. Maya sent a rule sheet to immediate family, no surprise speeches, no unplanned announcements, no exceptions. Dad replied with a plain okay. Nana Rose sent a thumbs down emoji. Brandon didn't respond at all. That week, Chloe did something I didn't expect. She pulled Sarah aside at a family gathering. I wasn't close enough to hear. But later, Maya told me what happened. Chloe told her, if he tries something public at the wedding and you're uncomfortable, you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to walk away. Don't feel trapped because people are watching. Sarah went pale. Has he said something to you? No, Chloe said. I just know my brother. You deserve to know you have options. Sarah hesitated, then admitted, I told him I didn't want a public proposal. Multiple times. He keeps saying he'll do something private, but then talks about big romantic gestures. I don't know if he listens. Chloe told her, then it sounds like you already know your answer. You just haven't said it yet. Maya said. Sarah looked like someone had handed her oxygen. The night before the wedding, Chloe came to my place. Maya was out with her bridesmaids, so it was just the two of us. Chloe adjusted my tie, even though I wouldn't wear it until the next day. You ready for this? She asked. For the wedding? Yeah. For the family drama? No. We've survived worse, she said. We'll survive this. I laughed. Remember when we were 10 and you said we have each other? She smiled softly. Still true. We sat in quiet for a moment. Then she straightened up and said, if they try anything tomorrow, I'll handle it. You stay with Maya. Don't let them pull you into their mess. Ready to bail if needed? I asked. Always, she said. And she meant it. Every word. The wedding was at an outdoor venue with a lake, string lights, and enough space for 100 guests. We'd kept it simple, small ceremony, decent reception, good food, no drama. That was the plan. Maya's side showed up on time, professional, respectful, normal. My side showed up looking for a fight. Nana Rose wore a dress that looked like she was attending a royal gala. Brendan showed up in a suit that fit him like a tarp, clearly borrowed. And Sarah looked like she wanted to disappear. Chloe spotted them immediately and moved into position near the security guys stationed by the reception tent entrance. The ceremony was perfect. I got nervous halfway through my vows and my voice cracked. Maya squeezed my hands and smiled. For 25 minutes, Brendan and Nana Rose didn't exist. Then the reception started. The speeches went smoothly at first. The best man went first. Told a funny story about me falling asleep during a work training and waking up to everyone staring at me. Maya's maid of honor went next, heartfelt and sweet. That's when I saw Brendan stand up. He was at a table near the back. Sarah was grabbing his arm, trying to pull him back down. He shook her off and started moving toward the microphone. Chloe signaled security, but Brendan was closer to the mic than they were. He moved fast. I stayed next to Maya and kept my hand on her shoulder. Brendan grabbed the mic before security got there. Everyone, I have something important to say. The crowd went quiet. I turned to him. I didn't yell. I didn't rush him. I just said, loud enough for everyone to hear, quick PSA, folks. This isn't open mic night. If you didn't pay for the venue, sit down. A few people laughed nervously. Most just sat frozen. Brendan's face flushed, but he held the mic. No, listen. This is important. Sarah, I love you. Sarah stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. Brendan, stop right now. His face froze. Her voice was shaking, but she didn't back down. I told you I didn't want this. I told you not to make a scene and you did it anyway. Guests started whispering. Brendan's eyes darted around like he thought he could salvage it. Babe, just let me finish. No! Sarah said, louder. I've told you for weeks I didn't want a public proposal, especially not at someone else's wedding. The answer is no. I'm done. Dead silence. A few people shifted in their seats. Someone coughed. Nana Rose looked like she'd been slapped. Brendan's face crumpled. He turned toward me as if this were somehow my fault. You did this. You ruined everything. I kept my voice calm. You ruined it when you tried to hijack someone else's wedding. Don't blame me because she saw through you. More whispers, more uncomfortable silence. Brendan's humiliation spread through the venue, but nobody was clapping. It was just awkward and tense. Security reached him. Two guys in suits, calm but firm. Sir, you need to leave. Brandon tried to pull away. "Oh, you can't do this. I'm family." "Family knows better," I said. "Security, please escort him out." A few scattered claps came from Maya's side. Most people just watched in silence as Brandon got walked out. Sarah grabbed her purse and left through a different exit without looking back. But Nana Rose wasn't done. She stood up, cane in hand, voice sharp enough to cut glass. "You selfish brat. You humiliated your brother in front of everyone. You're a disgrace to this family." I turned to her and said calmly, "Security. My grandmother needs help finding her ride." That got more reaction. A few people actually laughed. Even some from my side, who usually stayed silent, were shaking their heads. Nana Rose sputtered, called me ungrateful, and stormed out. The rest of the reception was smooth. We danced. We ate. The best man made fun of my dance moves. Maya finally relaxed. Chloe leaned over at one point and whispered, "That was the cleanest shutdown I've ever seen." "We should have charged admission," I said. But as Maya and I left the venue that night, she said, "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." She took a slow breath before speaking. "I was terrified Brandon was going to ruin the whole day. I kept waiting for something to go wrong, and I couldn't enjoy anything until it was over." I said, "I'm sorry. You shouldn't have had to deal with that." She shook her head gently. "I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying this is what your family does. They turn every moment into something you have to brace for. They make you feel like you don't get to just be happy. Everything becomes about surviving it." She looked down at her hands, twisting her rings slightly, a gesture I'd never seen from her. "And I don't want to live like that," she said quietly. Something in my chest tightened. Not guilt. Realization. "Neither do I," I said. She nodded but didn't smile. She needed more than reassurance. She needed proof. "Good," she said softly. "Because I need to know we're building something different, something that isn't controlled by your family's chaos." Her voice wasn't angry. It was tired. "We are," I said. "I promise." And for the first time that day, she exhaled like she believed me, or at least wanted to. The week after the wedding, Brandon spiraled. Sarah didn't just break up with him. She erased him, blocked him everywhere, and told mutual friends she felt like she was finally breathing again. Honestly, that tracked. Brandon moved back into our parents' house full-time. Slept half the day, rented online the rest, and got fired from his part-time job within a week. Same old pattern, except this time Chloe and I weren't cleaning it up. We heard updates through cousins. We didn't reach out. Nana Rose, meanwhile, went nuclear. She flooded family chats with messages claiming Chloe and I had abandoned Brandon in his darkest moment. Some relatives bought it. Most stayed quiet. A few reached out privately, but Chloe shut it down. "We don't owe anyone the story," she said. "Not yet." Mom tried emotional guilt. She left Chloe long voicemails about being overwhelmed, how the mortgage was falling behind again, how we were destroying the family. Chloe saved the messages, then blocked her. Dad called me once, sounding decades older. "Son, I understand why you did what you did. I should have spoken up years ago." "Thanks, Dad," I said. But understanding isn't change. 3 weeks after the wedding, everything got worse. It was close to midnight. Maya and I were in bed when Chloe called. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Mom just called me. Brandon's in jail. Hit and run. He injured someone." My stomach dropped. "What?" "He was driving impaired, ran a red light, hit another car, panicked, and drove off. Cops found him hiding behind a gas station." How bad is it? A mom and her 6-year-old daughter. Broken leg, concussion. I closed my eyes. He hit a kid and ran. Yeah. And mom wants us to help. Help how? Lawyer, bail, controlling the story. She's already telling people it was an accident. She wants us on a call in 10 minutes. Let me talk to Maya. When I told her, she sat straight up. Ethan, don't let them drag you into covering this up. I won't. I just want to hear what they try. Then don't let fear make your choices, she said. 10 minutes later, Chloe and I joined the call. Mom didn't waste a second. We need your help. Brendan made a terrible mistake, but we can fix this together. A mistake is locking your keys in the car, I said. He hit a child and ran. He panicked. Mom insisted. He knew how to run and hide, Chloe snapped. He knew how not to call 911. Dad jumped in. Bail is $12,000. We don't have it. So, you want us to pay $12,000? I asked. No, just $1,200 with a bondsman, Mom said quickly. Then we need help with a real lawyer. You already have $1,200? I said. You've been behind for months without asking us for more. You had money. You just weren't using it for the mortgage. Silence. Dad said, "What?" Mom's voice tightened. We needed an emergency fund in case something happened. Something like this. Chloe shot back. Mom said we can't let him sit in jail. He's family. He chose to drive impaired, Chloe said. He chose to hit someone. He chose to run. Dad tried. If we don't get him a good lawyer, this could ruin his future. Maybe it should, I said. Mom began crying. Please. If we use the emergency fund, we'll lose the house. We need you two to cover the mortgage again, just temporarily. Nana Rose snapped in the background. How can you be so cold? A child is injured and all you care about is money. No, I said. I care that you're trying to protect the person who injured her. Mom whispered, we need you to be the responsible ones, like always. No, Chloe said. We're not paying for bail. We're not paying for a lawyer. We're not rewriting the story. We're done. Mom sounded stunned. What? Nana Rose shrieked, you're abandoning him. He abandoned that little girl, I said. Mom sobbed, you're going to let him go to prison. You built this, I said. With the mortgage, the excuses, the decades of pretending he was untouchable. Dad said softly, just think about it. Sleep on it. No, Chloe said. Don't call us again about this, I added. And if you try to use relatives to pressure us, we'll send them every document. Mom's voice dropped to a hiss. You're both dead to me. Okay, Chloe said. We can live with that. After the call, I texted Chloe. You okay? No, she replied. But we're right. Yeah, we are. 30 seconds later, Poppy Charles called. Your mom wanted me to talk you into helping, he said. I told her absolutely not. A child is hurt. Brendan needs to face this. That's what we said. Good. Don't bend. We won't. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw a 6-year-old in a hospital bed because my brother thought rules didn't apply to him. Maya wrapped her arms around me. You did the right thing, she whispered. I know. It just doesn't feel good. It's not supposed to, she murmured. Doing the right thing rarely does. And for the first time, the weight of my family's legacy shifted painfully, but finally off my shoulders. The next few weeks were chaos. Brendan spent 3 days in jail before Mom and Dad used the emergency fund they'd been hiding to pay the bondsman. $1,200, just enough to bring him home on house arrest with an ankle monitor. The court process dragged on while the charges piled up. The little girl's family hired a lawyer and everyone knew a civil suit was coming. Mom immediately launched into damage control. She sent messages to extended family insisting Brendan had panicked, that he'd made a terrible mistake, that Chloe and I had abandoned him at his lowest point. She left out the parts that mattered: the 6-year-old with a broken leg, the concussion, the fact that Brendan ran and hid instead of calling for help. Nana Rose took up the banner, insisting Brendan was being judged unfairly, calling Chloe and me heartless. For about 2 days, they controlled the story. Then Chloe sent the receipts. She didn't wait for anyone to ask questions. She sent a single message to every aunt, uncle, and cousin who'd been fed Mom's version. She attached the police report, our mortgage ledger from the last 3 years, and screenshots of Brendan partying, eating out, and flashing new purchases while claiming he was too broke to contribute to the house. People responded fast. One cousin wrote, "I had no idea." Another said they'd been told it was just a fender bender. A third asked, "He ran from a kid?" Not everyone changed sides. 2 of Mom's sisters accused Chloe of exaggerating. One said, "We were making our parents look bad." Another insisted family was supposed to protect each other. Nana Rose doubled down, saying, "Brendan never meant to injure anyone." Then Poppy Charles finally said something. He wrote, "He chose to drive. He chose to run. The little girl is the one suffering." After that, the whole discussion went quiet. The family didn't unite. They fractured. Some stayed loyal to Mom out of habit. Some stayed silent. A few cousins sent Chloe and me private messages saying they supported us, but couldn't say so publicly. One uncle called me directly and sounded like he was hiding in his own house. He said he believed us but couldn't get involved because Nana Rose would turn his life upside down. I told him I understood. Mom kept trying to build sympathy by calling distant relatives and old family friends. But the more details came out, the less her narrative held together. One aunt told her bluntly, "You taught him that rules don't apply to him." Mom hung up on her. Meanwhile, the mortgage fell further behind. Without the $1,200 Chloe and I used to contribute, Mom and Dad couldn't keep up with payments and legal costs. For months after Brendan's arrest, they put the house up for sale. Dad called me when the listing went live. His voice sounded like it had been wrung dry. "We're selling. We can't keep it." I told him I was sorry. He said he should have stopped everything years earlier. The second mortgage, the favoritism, the denial. He said he was too weak to stand up to Mom and Nana Rose. I didn't know what to say, so I told him it wasn't too late to change. He said, "Maybe not," but the house was gone. 6 weeks later, it sold at a loss. They moved into a small rental across town, 2 bedrooms. Brendan got one, they shared the other. Nana Rose stopped speaking to us altogether. She moved in with her sister and sent a final message saying, "We destroyed the family." Chloe told her, "We just stopped fixing what you broke." 8 months after the wedding, Brendan took a plea deal. 18 months in county jail, probation, community service, restitution, long-term license suspension. Mom called Chloe crying the day it happened, asking how they could do this to her boy. Chloe told her the girl he hit could have died. Mom hung up. Life moved on for the rest of us. Maya and I started saving for a house, now that we weren't funneling money into someone else's mortgage. We went to open houses, talked about kids, talked about peace. Chloe started cutting out any other obligations in her life that felt like they belonged to someone else. She told me ending the payments was the first moment she'd ever felt she wasn't living in a trap. We kept our Sunday diner meeting, same booth, same cheap coffee, same unspoken promise to leave anything that tried to pull us backward. About 10 months after the hit and run and roughly 2 months into Brendan's sentence, Mom asked to meet with Chloe and me. Chloe said no immediately. I talked her into it, not out of hope, just curiosity. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Mom looked older, smaller, like the years had finally caught her. She sat down and took a long breath before saying anything. Then she said, "I was wrong." She admitted everything, enabling Brendan, prioritizing him, taking out the mortgage, expecting us to clean up the mess, and blaming us when it all fell apart. Chloe asked her why now. Mom said, "Because I lost everything. The house. My mother won't speak to me. Brandon's in jail. Your father barely speaks to me. And you too, you're gone, too. I have nothing left." I asked her if she was apologizing because she meant it or because she was out of options. She said she didn't know, just that she knew she'd been wrong. Chloe asked if she understood why we didn't help with Brendan's case. Mom said she thought it was because we didn't want to enable him. Chloe told her no, it was because a kid got hurt and Brendan ran. Mom nodded and said she was trying to understand. I told her that if she wanted a relationship going forward, things had to change. No more money, no more guilt, no more excuses for Brendan. And she had to acknowledge the damage she'd done. Mom said she would try. Chloe told her trying wasn't enough. We left it there. No hugs, no dramatic reconciliation, just a possibility with conditions. A year after the wedding, Maya and I closed on a house. 3 bedrooms, small yard, quiet street. We invited a few people over. Chloe came. Poppy Charles came. Dad came alone. Dad took me aside and told me he was proud of me. That he wished he'd protected us years ago. That he wished he'd told Brendan no. I told him he was here now. And that counted for something. Later, Chloe and I stood on the deck as the sun went down. She said, "We survived." I said, "Yeah, we did." Ready to bail? Always. Brendan eventually got out of jail. He moved in with Nana Rose at her sister's place. Last I heard, he was blaming us for everything. Telling anyone who'd listen that we'd ruined his life. His wages are garnished. His license is gone for years. He's stuck. I don't feel bad. Not after everything. Maya and I are good. Chloe is thriving. And the escape code still exists. Not as survival anymore, but as a reminder. We made it out, and we built something better. What would you have done differently in our shoes?